Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 243 of the My DVC Points podcast. This is a special edition, another live show. This is like two live shows back to back this week. I cannot believe it, but we've had some phenomenal news drop today about Walt Disney World's annual passes. But before we get into that, I want to do a quick shout out of thanks over to our sponsor at Monera Financial. If you are looking to buy a DVC contract, and you're looking to finance it, maybe what we're talking about today in the blue card and getting that DVCY on your digital Disney card here is important to you, and you want these direct member extra perks, means you're going to be buying a contract from Disney. Just so you know, you can shop for interest rates, and Monera Financial has your back. They will refinance or finance a direct contract. MoneraFinancial.com. Let them know you heard about them here on the My DVC Points podcast. In order to kick into this joint episode, I have brought the team leads from our Community Hall live show and our DVC newscast show. So I want to welcome to the show Marianne and Pete. Hey guys, how are you tonight?
Hey Chad, glad to be here. This is big news.
This is big news. And just so everybody's clear, you might be hearing this show 3 times because it's such big news. We're going to put it out on every podcast feed that we have. So hence, therefore, we brought in the team leads from the show. And if you only listen to one of our 3 shows, get to know Pete over at Newscast. Those guys are awesome. And then Marianne has been killing it over at the Community Hall live show on Sunday nights. That's our original live stream show. I think we're kind of like getting into her turf a little bit here, Peef, with all our live streams, but she's good with that.
It's okay. And I'm here tonight because I got to eat some crow. Just the other day in our Facebook community group, I said, they're never coming back. So I'm here tonight to eat my crow.
Okay. Well, I knew they were coming back. I just didn't know when, but it makes sense because we are just now at this peak of spring break time. So you've got all the people coming to Walt Disney World. And after this, the end of April, May, up until June is a little slow time. So it makes sense that they're going to announce these annual passes to kind of drum up some more business during the slow times.
And they just talked about first quarter.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, Marianne. So your theory is that first quarter results wasn't as spectacular as they were hoping to be?
I think they were expecting first quarter results to be a lot hotter because Tron was ready to go and they thought they were going to get that bump from Tron and they thought they were going to get pre-sales for people coming to the parks, and the summer looks slow. The summer looks really soft, and most of that is sold in the first quarter. So I think that yes, they're trying to boost attendance later here in the summer.
Well, if you go back to their earning calls way back when, the CFO said, hey, look, in our plans, if things ever start to get soft or we need more money, we'll pull the annual pass lever and we'll bring those guys back into the fold. So I guess it's working, right? I mean, we're here. We're all waiting with bated breath for these annual passes to come back. But we have just been lit up today with questions from listeners and IMs and texts and people who are thinking about buying DVC that now start to see the value of these annual passes. And we're going to cover that some tonight as well. So if you guys have questions about annual passes, be sure to leave them in the comments below. This is a live stream show. We will try to address them here. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'll try to come back in and address them if you're watching a replay as well. So let's...
And Chad, I have to agree with what you just said. I think it's also a potential for boost for DVC sales, because DVC sales direct are very soft right now. It's probably the softest they've been, certainly the softest they've been since COVID. I know February was one of the softest months in history. And they've had a lot of complaints from recent purchasers that they cannot buy an annual pass because, I mean, let's face it, that is the biggest perk. I'm sorry, it way beats out, a Moonlight
it's
Magic.
The 500-pound gorilla in this deal. Okay?
It's just, Epcot Lounge,
You can't drink enough pop to equal out.
$450 savings on a pass. I mean, it's
and that's really it. This DVC Sorcerer annual pass is going to save you $458, tax included, and per person, because I have a family of 5. So we're talking over a $2,500 value here per year from being a Blue Card member.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to pay, I just did the math for somebody today on 150 points. It was like $9,000 more he was going to pay to be Blue Card. But if he's getting 2,500 back every year, it doesn't take too many years to make that math work.
To me, it's the biggest argument for buying direct. I would always argue to people that you only buy enough direct points to get the membership, which is the 150 or maybe a little bit more, if you want that 200 point contract, whatever. But this is the reason, and it hasn't been there for a few years now. It was open for a couple months and then it stopped, and not everybody got it. I was lucky enough. I had a Sorcerer's Pass and happened to be going enough that we even renewed it. But if you weren't in that window,
I had mine, and the rest of my families were dead. And it wasn't until I became a Florida resident, and then Laura became a resident by being on the title and utilities here, that we could come back in and say, hey, we're Florida residents, give her a Florida resident AP and the kids one as well. And
and mine is I let Katie's expire on purpose even after they stopped selling them, because we didn't have a trip planned for a while and it made no sense to spend the money at the time. But I'm the only one in my family that has one. And I'm sitting here going, I just spent a good chunk of the money for what would have gone towards her annual pass on tickets, because I'm within 60 days of my trip.
It's a complicated deal. And I also want to throw this other theory out there that I've been saying for a while. And I know the DVC executives got this, but it's really about getting the park executives to agree to sell passes to DVC members.
Right.
Our leadership at DVC has heard us loud and clear. They get it. It's been park operations that hasn't been willing to come back in and sell us the passes. But the way this thing works is you buy a set of points. You get a discount on an annual pass. Now, all of a sudden, I've got some prepaid hotel rooms and I've got a prepaid park ticket. I want to go again. That annual pass is the gateway drug to add on itis to come back in and buy more DVC. Because once you've got that annual pass in your pocket, now I want to use the puppy. And
100%.
In
order to use it, guess what I need? I need more points.
And those weekend trips are so much easier when you aren't buying a 1 or 2 or 3 day ticket, because we all know those are the most expensive tickets to buy. The difference between buying tickets for 3 days versus a whole annual pass is tremendous when you look at the math.
A 3-day ticket could be $400 or $500 with hoppers.
It's like $450. With hoppers. And your annual pass
weekend, something like that, $450 every time.
Yeah.
Per person. It's killing the magic of DVC, not having these annual passes. So for us to come back in and say, this is phenomenal news. And spoiler alert, our recommendation is, if you think you could use an annual pass, run, don't walk, go buy them on the 13th as soon as sales open up, because they will shut down sales. The language in the email talked about a limited time, and that they will make these more available for DVC members than Florida residents, but nothing was like a hard commitment here.
Right.
And we know they come and go in Disneyland, and when they go on sale again, it almost breaks the internet. And this has the potential of breaking the Disney website.
Yeah.
It's going to be that level of crazy.
And don't forget, let's say you're planning a trip in November, and that's when you need your annual pass. You can buy it now and then not activate it till your trip in November.
That's right.
So it makes sense to buy it today, or buy it in April. Don't say to yourself, oh, I don't want to get it now because I don't want a pass that starts in April. It won't start in April. It'll start when you go to the park for the first time, when you activate it. You can even make your park reservations with it and not activate it.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is very true. And don't even wait for like gift card deals to come up, anything along those lines.
Yeah.
Meijer has got their $250 gift card on sale right now. If you're a Meijer M Perk in the Midwest, yay, go Team Meijer. Got to give those guys a shout out. But don't wait for a gift card deal. Find the money, get this thing, get it on your deal, because they are doing a serious FOMO fear marketing that this thing could go away. And we've all lived this pain with no annual pass for 3+ years now.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is your opportunity, because last time it was up for a couple of days and then they shut it down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I would really hope by the fact they're doing it. So DVC members are going to get to purchase on April 13th, and then it's going to be open to the general public on April 20th. I really would hope that it's going to be open for at least that entire week for DVC members, because, you know, if they're really planning to open it to the general public, I would think they wouldn't close down that sorcerer pass before the 20th. But you don't know. You don't know what Disney's going to do. It's kind of, it's a little disgusting the way they're playing us to a degree.
And the other part I would tell you is, if you're on the fence of buying direct up until April 19th, if you've got a Disney Visa card, there's an extra $250. And if you would like an extra $500 and you're buying direct, I can get you a referral link. Send me a note at mydvcpoints@gmail.com, and I will get you my link right off to there. And that's an additional $500 when you buy direct, coming straight off. So those are some really great savings, and they are really fast about getting you blue card enabled and all of those perks. It is like minutes. A lightning lane. It's like minutes. Shocking. If you've ever bought resale and you know it takes 3 months to close on your contract and get it, you give them a credit card number and you'll have points to book by the time you hang up that phone call.
Yes,
for sure.
Minutes.
It is like a lightning fast. And so let's come back in and talk about, we've got some of the official Disney screens that we're going to share and talk about to answer some of the massive amount of questions that we saw pop up in our 5,000 members of plus Facebook group today. It's just been crazy. I've been getting lit up all day. So let's come in and I'm going to share the screen and we'll walk. Where do you find the annual passes? How do you go about doing this? And the first thing I'm going to tell you is always just go to the Disney website. I don't put this stuff up on my website. I don't want to copycat it. I don't want to compete. I don't want to confuse anybody. Let's just go to the source, mydisneyexperience.com. I have already signed in at this point in time. You're going to come under parks and tickets, and then you're going to come down here and click annual passes. And when you do that, you're going to come up to this screen that says, hey, these aren't available because they're not for sale right now. But it will list the passes for you here. And there's a link that's kind of hidden on this page right here, this disneyworld.com/pass. And it brings up this screen. And this is where all the magic is. So let me just walk you through this really fast. The Pixie Dust Pass is only Florida residents. And you get 3 reservations with this pass. And it is blocked out all weekends, all major holidays. You are Monday through Friday only, non-peak times when the parks are empty. If that's your thing, this isn't a bad pass. I know many Florida residents that couldn't renew and got stuck buying this pass. And we saved a lot of money. It really wasn't that bad. Yeah. So if you're a Florida resident, don't sleep on this pass.
Yeah. You can. And I had to laugh at that because Disney basically intentionally lost money by doing this, because I agree with you. There's several Shannon on our, on the DVC newscast, her family ended up getting this pass and they just planned their trips so that they were going to the parks Monday through Friday. And then on Saturday or Sunday, they would do downtown Disney or Disney Springs. And, so Disney basically lost money by not allowing the pirate pass. And
The other thing you
You'll
can
get
do
it.
here is put the $99 add-on for water parks and more, and that
Yeah.
opens up the golf courses on weekends and the water parks to you on weekends.
Mhm.
And I think that's the best value in all of the annual passes. But of course, I have a house a couple minutes away from Blizzard Beach and can get off work and have my toes in the water by 4:08. So, not that I've done that a few times. Okay. Next up, only Florida residents here. You've got the Pirate Pass. Now you're holding 4 reservations and you've got weekends here, just no holidays. You are blocked out every single major holiday you can think of. If it's Easter, MLK Day, you name it, you're blocked out. If it's any kind of federal holiday when people are going to have an extra day off work and want to go to the park, you're blocked out. So you do get Saturday and Sunday as long as it's not a significant holiday weekend. That's the best summary that I can give you for it. And now here's the Magic Pass that is what us DVC members will be able to buy, called the Disney Sorcerer Pass. Here you can hold 5 reservations, and your blockout dates are really Wednesday of Thanksgiving week all the way through that Sunday, and then about 2.5 weeks at Christmas time. And I'll show you how to do that in a second.
And there'll be Easter and spring break also.
It wasn't this year.
It was not this year. That's
No,
It was
amazing.
not this year.
When this came back out, they did not do spring break. They gave
that's
us
amazing.
It never used to block out Thanksgiving. This year we picked up Thanksgiving. We got spring break back. Okay. On this pass. So if you're a spring person, it looks pretty good. We'll start to look and see next year, but we'll answer that question in a second. And then right here is the big boy, the $1,400. And with a renewal discount, because I'm so close and I have so many great friends and so many listeners and so many people that I love to hang out with in the parks, I went ahead and renewed my last one at this level with the water parks, with the photo pass. It was $1,485 with the renewal discount and tax out the door. Massive amount of cost for this pass. But this is really what you're going to save with the blue card. If you decide to exercise your blue card option here, tax differences between these two passes are $458. And you multiply that times a family of 5, well, you're saving almost $2,500 a year, 24, 23, something along in that line. Doesn't take too many years of doing that to break even on a direct contract.
Yep.
So,
and it really just takes people ask, well, is it worth it for me to get a pass? And quite honestly, if you're only going once a year, it's not. Mm-hmm. But it really doesn't take more than 2 trips in a year to make an annual pass worth it. Because if you think about it, going for a week, even if you pass on hoppers, going for a week, it's going to cost you about $600 for single park tickets. Do that twice, you're looking at $1,200. And again, assuming you don't need Thanksgiving or Christmas, now that becomes a whole nother boat, of course. But if you don't need those dates, then the Sorcerer's Pass is going to be cheaper than 2 trips.
And the other time that this becomes a real savings is if you are a Weekend Warrior DVC member. If you're someone who flies down Thursday night and is there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fly out the last flight on Sunday night. If you do that, think about how ticket prices work. The most expensive ticket is your one-day ticket. Very, very, very quickly, this pass is going to be helpful for you to use your contract in that way. Is it helpful for the people who stay 10 to 14 days once a year? Probably not as helpful. But for the people who come more than once a year, maybe for those short trips, the food and wine trip, the marathon trip, those trips, this is the best bang for your buck.
Yeah. The other thing I can tell you here is when we first got our DVC contract and annual passes, we got it in August. We bought our passes in August and we used that year of points. Well, by the next summer, we went 3 weeks earlier, right before our passes expired, and we got 2 9-day vacations out of our annual passes, and it was really a good deal. So as long as your vacations are less than 12 months apart, if you can back that up a couple of weeks, you'll win with an annual pass.
I was just going to say that, Chad, because that's exactly what we had been doing for a while. Was my wife and I, we go every year for Food and Wine, and it doesn't have to be the same week. So what we typically do is we go pretty close to the last week. We go, mid-November, we go for a week, buy the annual pass. We maybe go once or twice in between, and then we go the following, late October, and then we wouldn't renew the pass, and then we wouldn't go for a year, and then we'd do that all over again. So we were basically taking 3-4 trips in a 12-month period, and then taking 12 months off. And
I call that strategy AP looping.
Yeah.
Because you're going to use 2 sets of DVC Disney Vacation Club annual allotments of points on one pass.
Yep.
And then you're going to let the pass drop. And then for the last 3 years, we haven't been able to buy passes. And everybody that was looping got caught and went, So you can decide for yourself if you're going to try the looping thing, what your confidence level is. But the good news is you have 30 days until the end of your pass expires to come back in and retroactively renew. So if it expires July 1st, you have until the end of that month to pony up and buy for and pay for a brand new annual pass or the renewal of it if they're not selling them.
Yeah. And the renewal is about a 15% discount.
Yeah. So let's talk about that because that came up today as well. So a 15% discount is 58 days, I believe, if my math is correct. So 365 days times 0.15. And that'll tell you how many days extra they're giving you for that renewal discount. So let's say it is 58 days and you're not going to come back for 70 days. Well, you might as well buy a brand new annual pass at that point in time so that you can lock it in if they're selling them and not renew.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to have more time on your annual pass.
Yeah.
And as long as you can buy one and lock that. That's what we did when my family's Florida resident passes expired January 31st this year. Rather than renew them because they knew they wouldn't be here till summer, we said, you know what? We don't know what's going to happen with the annual passes. So we went ahead and bought them brand new, non-discounted Florida resident pixie dust passes so that they've got that in their back pocket. Now, when they go to activate them, if passes are being sold, it's up to them if they want to pay for the upgrades or not. But at least they have that locked in. And when you buy that annual pass in advance, you've got 12 months to come back in and activate the pass. So I wouldn't try buying this more than 12 months in advance. You're likely to get caught in the system.
Yeah. And the good point there, Chad, that, you're saying all that is to understand if you renew, it renews the day your pass expires. You cannot delay that renewal. Whereas a new pass, you can wait for 12 months to activate it. So you really have to figure how you're going to use the pass and whether, if you're going to have a 6-month gap between your last trip, you're probably better off letting your pass expire, buy new passes, and then waiting the 6 months and then activating the new pass. So yeah, those are all great points.
Yeah. So that's my pro tip here. And the other thing that I'm a little bit afraid of is we're looking at this website right here says the availability date and the price. So I'm fairly certain these aren't going to raise in price initially. But this is Disney we're talking about, and it has been a couple of years since they've raised prices on these annual passes. The handwriting's on the wall, folks. This is another reason why we say run, don't walk to the My Disney Experience website to buy annual passes on the first day you're available, whether it's the 13th as a DVC member or what is the April 20th as a non-member. So that's kind of my take on that one. We talked about the blackout dates for a second as well, and that's what I've got on this next tab. There is a link there that'll show you. And so I just selected the Sorcerer's Pass. We'll click all parks, and then it'll show you the line it's blocked out. The Ghostbuster symbol here is all the parks are sold out that day, and then all parks are available or some parks. And so we're just looking at this for Sorcerer's Pass, Marianne, and you can see this year it's green circled the whole way. We don't have any slash.
That's
dates.
fantastic. It used to be, you're right. It used to be Thanksgiving was fine and Easter was never a good, never a go.
Right.
So,
Which it really depends on when your school celebrated spring break
yeah.
and whether or not you got hit by that or not. And so I got really lucky last year when the kids were here for spring break. The pixie dust passes worked and life was grand. But just looking at this as we scroll down through this list, you can start to see you've got the 22nd through the 25th is blocked out on the Sorcerer's Pass. And then you're good to go for about 3 weeks. And on December 20th, you're locked out again right here. And then you're not getting back into the pass until the 4th this year. And it's like, holy cow. Last year we got back in on the 2nd. The 1st is a holiday, so we could come in on the 2nd. This year, we're not coming back till the 4th.
That
Yeah,
completely mirrors my school district's break.
Yeah. And 2 years ago, it was actually available on the 1st because we went down. We were there we were in Florida for New Year's. We actually went to Wilderness Lodge for New Year's, watched the fireworks. And then we were able to go to the parks the next day. So they have shifted that so that the couple of days at the beginning of January. So just, be aware if you like going early January, if you get this pass, you got to wait till the 4th.
Yep. And so I think that's what we had to say. If you want to look to see, you might want to check ahead of time to make sure you can come back in and log into My Disney Experience and then click your profile. And then I'm not going to click this because it gives away too much personal information for me, but you can start to see whether or not they think you're a DVC member, Disney Plus, Castaway numbers, Disney Visa card holders. All of that stuff will show up there if I click that link. And that's what we had to share today. So in terms of a website, I'm going to drop the website down and then start to come back in and pick up some of the listener comments here as well. And then Dan Austin makes a really good point. If you have a Disney Visa, you should be able to purchase at no interest for 6 months on the Disney Visa card. Yes. You can certainly do that.
And
Dan.
that's purchasing a DVC contract, not an annual pass, correct?
Yes.
I believe it's for a vacation package. So okay. I would check the fine print on there, but my understanding was that was a pretty broad benefit.
Okay.
And
it's definitely for a DVC contract. I don't know if I don't think
you can do a whole cruise. Pass. You can do a Disney vacation. You can pay for all of it that way. And like if you were to check out from the resort, put it all on the resort portfolio. So maybe you have to be here, Dan, and do that. That would be a question I would ask the ticket holders, or call Chase and ask as well.
And that would be stuff, if you're interested in doing that, you're doing that before April 13th.
Yes.
You're calling and you're asking those questions before the day that you're expected to buy this.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And then somebody gives Pete a shout out here that it's a great point about buying a new annual pass since it does not activate until you go to the parks. Mm-hmm. And just so you all know, Universal is the same way. SeaWorld is not. SeaWorld activates the day you buy it. I got burned with that last year.
Interesting.
So, yes. And then, so Edwin's pointing out Sam's Clubs has discounts every day for gift cards. Same with BJ's. 50 and 500 are even available during email. You'll save about 3-4%. And if you're stacking credit card points right now, I do think warehouse clubs are on the list for like a 5% on some of the Chase cards. So that might be a good little pro tip to come in and chase down. I'm all about the discounts.
And if you're lazy, your Target Red card always gives you 5% off on Disney gift cards.
Let me give you this one pro tip word of advice, though. When you buy annual passes, our passes are now north of $1,000 with tax. The Disney system only lets you put one gift card on there. So your first gift card that you've got loaded up to 1,000 equally, you can use. You'll have to pay the rest of that with a credit card. And so just bear that in mind if you're going to play gift card tricks with buying annual passes. And if you're a Florida resident, you cannot buy annual passes with just a gift card. You're going to have to put at least a few cents on a credit card that's registered and has a Florida mailing address because their systems check that. Got burned on that one as well, as long as we're giving out the pro tips. And then Danielle saw a post today that DVC has changed the buying to 100-point minimum. I don't believe you get the blue card for 100 points. Is that correct, Pete?
Correct. So they reduced the minimum buy, which for new members was 150 points. It is now 100-point minimum, but you still need to buy 150 points to get the blue card membership extras or whatever they call it now.
Yep.
For members, it's always, or it's been for a while, it's been 50-point minimum, I believe. So
50 or 25, depending on the resort.
Yeah, some resorts will do 25. That's true.
Some of the older ones, I think Copper Creek came in and started at 50.
Right. I think Riviera also you have to do at least 50
for existing members. Yep.
Oh, that tricky Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, that tricky Disney.
Yeah.
And then Frederica asked, do I have to wait until the 60-day mark to renew? Yes, you do. And I got hit by the last price increase by like 8 days or something crazy before my 60-day renewal, and I didn't catch that. So yeah, that's it. And that does remind me, the prices did go up this last December, but they have been known to do it every 6 months. So yeah, that's kind of a deal. And Sorcerer, we covered, they changed from Easter to Thanksgiving, and it's actually more days than it was in the past. So, and then somebody on Facebook says, the only thing I don't like besides the no DVC payment allowance is when renewing, you can't pause it for a couple of months.
Yeah.
So only Florida residents can come in and do a payment plan on annual passes. Everybody else pays in full. And so, yeah, that's because your annual pass doesn't pause when you take a pause from the payments. But good question.
So this year you buy your pass on the 13th and start monthly putting in enough, figure out what it's going to cost you to renew, and start dumping that money into a special account. And you're prepaying, just don't touch it. Then you're giving yourself a payment plan. You can do that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I really wish the Florida Parks people and DVC people would work this out, because there's a lot of people that pay their dues monthly anyways. This should be another DVC member exclusive perk, is DVC's willing to give you free financing on an annual pass. They got pretty deep pockets over there. That'd be a great little perk. Come back in and get people going on that. And Andy points out, as I mentioned earlier, that the prices did go up on December 8th. And Incredible was $12.99, and yeah. So Caleb is saying in 2020 they couldn't go on January 1st or the 2nd. So it's not that unusual to go a little bit in there as well. And Caleb is saying Disney Visa does not give you 6 months for an annual pass. I bet it would if you could charge it to a hotel room. That I know you could sneak in there, because you can sneak the entire vacation in there that way. And Glenn is saying, boo, my 60-day renewal is April 21st. Really we're hoping Sorcerers stay available that long. I'd be on it on the 21st, Glenn. I certainly would, buddy.
Well, but he's renewing. The renewals have never gone away.
So far.
Right. But I'm saying, like, all this time where there was no annual pass, the last 18 months or something like that, everyone that has a pass has been able to renew. So I don't expect that that's going to change.
And you've been able to move up or down in the ecosystem at renewal time. Yes. You haven't been able to upgrade before, but at renewal, you could upgrade, or you could choose to downgrade. They would, if you're eligible for a downgrade.
Oh, I think that's, so I missed that. I think Glenn is he probably has the Incredipass and he wants the Sorcerer one.
Yep.
So I would think you'll be able to do it, but
yeah, you should be able to. And another vote here, DVC, if you've got an intern watching our show, taking notes, we wish the payments would happen. It's so much easier to swallow. Mm-hmm. And then Amy is asking, can I upgrade on the 13th? The regular ticket we bought for the June trip, it was $659.
Typically, the answer to that is no, that you have to do it in person at a ticket booth at the parks. I guess this is a phone call you could make and ask a few questions ahead of time, but in the past, the answer to that would have been no. And the thing is, if you don't have a pass now, maybe it'll hold around till you're in the parks, Amy, and maybe you can buy it at a ticket booth. Then we can always just,
I would definitely call though, because
I'm going to say call on that, Amy, because I've always been taught that you never ever really lose the value of any ticket that you've bought for Disney. They will not refund the money, but they will transfer it to another purchase.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't
but
be
in the
shocked.
past, when I've done this because I've done this upgrade a couple of different times, and you did have to do it at the park.
And so that would mean it has to be for sale when you're at the park with this.
So
okay,
we'll be doing that for you.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And you could buy for future, Amy. You could buy, and this isn't gonna expire. You could buy it and wait till you go the next trip to activate an annual pass. I know that ties some money up sitting there, but it's a thought.
Yeah, or you could
but I
buy
think
it
she's trying to effectively use her $6.59 towards the annual pass.
I would like to do that too with a couple of people's tickets that I've already purchased.
I personally would be very pushy with it.
That might not be a bad play there, Marianne, is to come back in, buy the annual passes. When you go to check in, make your park reservations on the annual pass, because you have to select which ticket medium you're going to use, and then at least get the $6.59 applied towards a renewal cost.
Yeah.
See if they could do that as well. That might not be a bad plan there, if they won't let you just upgrade in advance over the phone.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a phone call, though. And trust me, I'm going to be calling. I didn't have time today, but I am going to be calling and asking about this.
And then Vanessa E says, I heard you could call member services and have it upgraded. Yes, if you are calling for the DVC pass, you have to call member services. For whatever reasons, their other call centers aren't able to look up and validate your DVC membership, but DVC obviously can. And if you're entitled to this or not. So their answer has always been, stop. Don't talk to us here. Talk to member services if you want the DVC Sorcerer Pass, is pretty much how that will work. And then Edward makes a comment. He goes, my guess is that they try to limit who can do the payment plan due to difficulties in collecting. If people stop paying, when we all live all over the country, it's much easier to focus on the 2 states. Could be. Yeah, very well could be. But maybe if you buy it in Florida, I don't know. It could be legal red tape there as well. But I mean, they've got it for the dues, but hey, what do I know? Okay. Any other questions you guys have about annual passes? Anything along those lines? I think we've given you all our best pro tips here as to how to come back in and do this. I do know Disney has gotten very aggressive in locking down the annual passes, because you used to be able to buy a certificate and then transfer it from my name to Pete's name to Marianne's, and now they're locked down when you buy them. I could not use my wife's window in December when she was eligible to renew, buy a pass, and then transfer it to me. It would always buy and be issued in the certificate in her name. And that's just no bueno, because you used to be able to buy a certificate that was transferable, but I think they've gone away. And from what cast members have mentioned to me, it's in the hopes of having you pay market price for the annual pass of when you buy the pass and use the pass. Because previously you were able to kind of stock up on annual passes, and then as the prices skyrocketed, you were able to do that. I remember 2017, they had a deal out for DVC members where you could buy the equivalent of a Sorcerer's Today and get what they called the Platinum Pass, which was like the all-in water parks, golf, no blockout dates for the same price. And I happened to buy a couple of those and let them just sit there in the account.
Yeah, I remember when they did that, because we did the same thing. We didn't hold on to it, but we ended up buying an annual pass that year, and were able to upgrade it to the Platinum, and that gave you the water parks, and it was cool.
Yeah, it was a great little promo for DVC members, and a great little direct benefit as well.
Hey, Chad, I just have one last thing. I know everybody is so excited about all of this, being able to buy an AP again, but make sure you take the time to do the math. You've got a few days. Make sure you take the time. Don't just do it because everybody else is doing it. Make sure that this actually makes sense for your family, and that because this is a big financial commitment. And I don't want to see you at the end of a year having paid for annual passes going, "Oh, I didn't actually get my money back out of this one." So
Mm.
make sure that you've done the math and you know your trips, you know that you're going to use it. I'm going to ask some questions about renewing because I've already bought tickets for our trip in June. But if the answer is no, that I can't upgrade with the money I've already inputted into this trip, I'm probably not buying annual passes for the people in my family that don't have them currently.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just want to be honest about that, that it sometimes we all get really excited. And it's a feeding frenzy of crazy. And that's when DVC members go, oh, I must. And we all get a little bit of FOMO and we all go a little crazy. Slow your roll, people.
Thanks for the reality check there, Marianne.
Slow your roll.
Dave asked a great question here. He goes, what's the DVC policy on Sorcerer Pass with family members? And the way it works is anybody who's listed on the deed is a DVC member. And if that deed is unlocked or their membership is unlocked for Blue Card benefits, it's everybody in their immediate household. So if they live in the house with you, or children, I think up to 25 that are off to college, you can buy them an annual pass at the sorcerer level at that point in time.
Mhm.
So if my parents were to move in with me, I could buy them an annual pass because I'm a DVC member and they've moved their legal residence to my house. They're likely to ask for a driver's license to show to match that, but that's kind of the rule on that one as well. And I can tell you from Florida residents, I got the stink eye from some cast members when my 16-year-old got her pass and went to renew. Actually, she was 17, and they pretty well flat out said, you better have proof of her Florida residency next year because you're not buying her under the kid policy as well. So I went, okay, note to self, put the cable bill in Reagan's name. And we will be getting that new subscriber discount for a year while she's the new cable subscriber and taking care of that as well. So thanks for the reminder to nickel and dime the cable company there, Disney, because we got it. And then Getaways with Angela says, a few years ago, my husband's AP was off by 2 months versus the rest of the family. And the VIP pass holder line accommodated a sync for us, and he got a bonus 2 months. So they just must have synced everybody's up to make that happen as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because they would not do that for me when Katie and I were off by 3 months. So that was great pixie dust for you, Angela.
Yeah. And I know, like, during COVID, Caleb's son was below 3 when this started, so he couldn't have had an annual pass. And they were very gracious enough to say, well, he really couldn't have bought one before this. The rest of the family have an annual pass. We'll make a special exception. And they hooked up Monroe with an annual pass. And that really was a cool thing. So I want to give Disney some shout outs as well. They do some really cool things, just like Angela mentioned in other words as well.
Yeah, I always find, call them, be a little bit insistent, but don't be rude. Because
be nice. Definitely be nice.
Be nice to them, because especially with this, they're going to be
nice and not very insistent.
Yeah. But just keep asking. Is there anything they can do if you have one of these situations? And Caleb makes a big point about here that April 13th date, bring your patience pants.
Yeah,
because
it's Disney IT.
Yeah,
it's likely to break the call center. Like it really, 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 truly is. You are going to get all lines busy. It is going to be nutso, and for good reason, because we've waited for years to be able to buy our annual passes and get back into the full swing of things at Disney.
Yeah, and there's just too much uncertainty. Like normally for most things like this, I personally say to people, like, just wait for day 2. But the way they've been doing things with annual passes, especially in California, is they'll drop the annual passes and they'll be gone in a day. So I don't know what to think about this. I hope that that's not what they're going to do, but I can't say it's wise to wait here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Jared also adds some insight. He goes, when he called today, they assured him that they would use the honor system for proof of household because he asked 4 times. And well, good luck squeaking that one in if you ask 4 times, Jared. May the force be with you, brother.
Well, they'll sell them to you. You just won't be able to get in the park.
Yeah, that could be true. That could be true as well. And Brandy has another comment here that pretty much says, be nice. And occasionally they will pixie dust you and do some really nice things as well. Yes. Be nice to cast members. That is a golden rule around here as well.
Yes.
So that is all that I have for the show tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Huge shout out of thanks to our sponsors, World of DVC, for Monera Financial that finances DVC contracts or refinances them to lock in a lower rate. DVC Rental Store, which is a great place to come back in and rent out some last minute points. When you get your annual pass, if you scan their site, you will find some deal and a half on use or lose points from people. Highly recommend coming back in with your annual pass and checking them out and picking up some last minute reservations for that last minute trip. And also DVC Resale Market, where you can buy and sell and add-on itis that comes from annual passes. They can take care of it over there as well. So that's what I've got. Pete, Marianne, thanks for joining us tonight. And thank you everybody for tuning in and for this special edition of our cross-feeded show. So it'll be on all the podcast players. So download it, hit play at least on all of them for us. Get our download counts up a little bit.
Listen to it 3 times.
Marissa, Nick, you didn't hear that. So
And just a quick reminder, because it is the Thursday before Easter, Community Hall is dark on Easter night. Enjoy your families, and we will see you next time.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Thank you.